Welcome, learners. Today's lesson is on rate, ratio, and proportion. Let's start with an interesting fact. So, did you know that you actually use rate and ratio every day? When you are mixing your sweet juice during this hot weather and diluting it with water to get the taste just right, you are actually using ratio. A little bit of juice with some water to make it taste nice is ratio that you use to make that delicious glass of juice. So, let's look at the lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to solve problems involving distance, time, and speed. Solve problems involving compound interest and simple interest. Determine how finance, speed, distance, and time relate to ratio and rate. And finally, identify events that are directly and indirectly proportional. So, today's lesson is going to be focused on time, speed, and distance, as well as finance, where we are going to look at exchange rate, interest, simple interest, and compound interest. Let's look at the pre-knowledge that you are supposed to have for this lesson. So, simplifying a rate and or ratio by finding the HCF, that is the highest common factor. Substitution of given information into an expression, an equation, or a formula. Calculations with whole numbers, and performing calculations involving rate and ratio. Let's look at a few examples. Let's find the HCF of 4 and 8. Do you remember how to find the HCF? That is the highest common factor. Right, so we are going to list the factors of 4. That is going to be 1, 2, and 4. And then we are going to list the factors of 8, which are 1, 2, 4, and 8. We are looking for the common one. Yes, you saw it correctly. There are common ones there, but we are looking for the highest one, and that is the 4. So our HCF is 4. Now let's use that HCF to simplify the following. I've been given here 4 eighths. So we are going to simplify that. Now 4 eighths also can be written as a ratio. That is 4:8. We are going to use our HCF to simplify that. Remember, our HCF was 4. So what am I going to do with this 4? I'm going to take each of my numbers and I'm going to divide it by this 4 so that I can put it in simplest form. We are going to say 4 divided by 4 with the numerator, and then 8 divided by 4 with the denominator. 4 divided by 4 gives us 1 is 2, and 8 divided by 4 gives us 2, which can also now be written as 1/2. All right, let's move on to our next practice. Substitution. We are given here y is equals to 2x plus 4. Calculate if x is equals to 7. Remember now to use your brackets when you substitute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write my equation and I'm going to use the given information there to substitute. We have been given x is equals to 7. This means that in the place of x, I am going to put in 7. Why? Because they are equivalent. They are equal. Two times 7 is 14. When we add the 4, we have an answer of 18. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ratio. Remember what ratio means. It's a comparison of quantities of the same kind. We are now comparing learners to learners. So it means we can find the ratio of this. Let's read the statement there. It says, there are 24 boys and 18 girls in the grade 9B classroom. What is the ratio of girls to boys? So we have 18 girls is to 24 boys. That ratio is 18 is to 24. But we need to simplify that. How do we simplify it? We are going to use the HCF of 18 and 24. Do you remember how to find the HCF? Let us write 18 using prime numbers. Do you remember how to do that? So 18 is 2 times 9. But 9 is not a prime number. So we are going to write that as 2 times 3 exponent 2. Now we have written 18 using our prime numbers. Let's also write 24. 24 is our 3 times 8, right? So 8 is not a prime number. So we need to use numbers that are prime numbers. So 8 can also be 2 exponent 3. Now how do we find the HCF there? Remember, we are going to take the common ones, which are 2 and 3. In taking those common factors, we are going to choose the ones with the lowest exponent. So 2, the lowest exponent there is 1, and 3, the lowest exponent there is 1. So we are going to say 2 times 3, which is 6. What are we going to do with that highest common factor? We are going to take 18 is to 24, divide by the HCF. 18 divided by 6 gives us 3. 24 divided by 6 gives us 4. So the ratio of girls to boys is 3 is to 4. Now remember, that can also be written as 3/4. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Rate. Rate is a comparison of different quantities. So remember, ratio was the same, and now rate is different quantities. Let's look at an example. Asha is the fastest runner for his school athlete team. He runs 3 laps each minute. How many laps will he have run in 5 minutes? So we've been told here that Asha runs 3 laps in 1 minute. That means 3 laps takes 1 minute. That is his rate. His rate is 3 laps per minute. But how are we going to get to 5 minutes? Do you know? Yes. If you said we are going to multiply by 5, you are correct. Because when we are moving from one rate to another rate, we need to use multiplication or division to simplify. So, because we have multiplied by 5 on the right, we need to go now multiply by 5 on the left as well. So what is 5 times 3? That is 15 laps. What does this mean? It means that 15 laps Asha would have run in 5 minutes. Okay. Let's move on to the new words that we are going to use during this lesson. We are going to talk about direct proportion. That is a relation between quantities where an increase in one is also an increase in the other, or vice versa. Indirect proportion, a relation between quantities where an increase in one leads to a decrease in the other, or vice versa. Distance, the length of a path or route traveled, for example, 110 kilometers. Time, how long it takes for an event to occur, for example, 1 hour or 60 minutes. Then we have speed, which is the distance moved over a certain amount of time, for example, 30 kilometers per hour. We also have exchange rate, the number of units of a foreign currency that are bought to 1 unit of the local currency, or vice versa. For example, we have $1 is equivalent to 18 rands and 1 cent. So from this exchange rate, we can calculate the value of different amounts. For example, the value of $12 is equivalent to the value of 216 rands and 12 cents. Interest, a fee paid for borrowing money or money received from an investment. Interest is represented as a percentage. For example, being charged 250 rand by the bank for borrowing 2,500. That is 10% interest. Simple interest. Interest is paid on the invested or borrowed amount only. there is no interest paid on interest received. For example, 7% interest is 630 Rand earned or gained on 3,000 over 3 years. Compound interest. Interest is paid on the balance in the account. Interest also generates interest. For example, 7% interest is 675 Rand and 13 cents earned or gained on 3,000 over 3 years. Let's go to an ad break and then we'll continue after this. See you just now.